What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Galaxi Scrum. I am your host, Matt, or Matt Galaxi, as some of you like to call me, and we're here today to talk about the upcoming round and some of the topics that have been pretty big over the last week or so. We have one big topic, and I thought we'd also talk about some other things this week as well, which we will get into in the moment. So, as we start the show, as always, we usually shout out our super chats, which we didn't get any this time. And Also, we now have memberships. I said it on the last podcast, so if you're listening to this on Spotify, you can go to the YouTube channel, Galaxy Footy, and you can actually join as a member if you want to. It is $6 a month, and I should also stress it is completely optional. You don't have to subscribe. You do get access to content early, but that's pretty much it. You also get shout outs and all that stuff. And someone is already talking about something in the chat that we are going to be talking about. So also, if you haven't already and you're on the YouTube stream, make sure you check us out on Spotify under the Galaxy Scrum. That will be linked shortly when I get a moment. And also, excuse me. Sorry I'm late today. I've been dealing with a bit of a cough, if I'm being completely honest with you guys. I'm not sick. I've just got something caught in my throat and I just can't get it out. So I'm probably going to be drinking a fair bit of water to start off with. Can't deal with it. I apologize. Now, so let's get into it. So first of all, as we start this show, I just want to say a big welcome to everyone who has joined. We got Thunder and Footy Edits, Rugby02. Thank you for joining. Penguins, Nicole Bork has also joined us. Lucas Hardy has also joined us. And Blake has also joined us. And JLR, how are we all doing today, folks? I seriously appreciate you all joining. I will be talking about the Jamal thing, Penguins. However, I won't be talking about it till later. However, you can go back and watch the stream after it is finished. So don't worry, you won't miss a beat. And I do want to talk about this as well. So yeah, so let's start off the podcast as we always do. By the way, I know I actually got a couple questions in DMs yesterday about the over the last week about this. The first thing is that I changed the order to kind of cater for the guests a little bit, but I also like when the guests can't stay on for that long, I try and do the topics first because the topics are much more important, and then I do the round review, and then the tips after that. So yeah, sorry, I am just dealing with an annoying cough. Apologies. Well, it's not really an annoying cough, just something at the back of my throat right now. So yes, so let's get into the round review of round 8 or Anzac round. So starting off, the Brisbane Broncos, the Bronx Nation, defeat the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs 42-18. They were at Suncorp Stadium and there was 40,000 people at that stadium. Oh my goodness. The Broncos dominated the first half, leading 34-0 at halftime. Adam Reynolds orchestrated the masterclass of his life and the attack with 2 try assists and a try himself before leaving late in the second half with a shoulder injury. He is good to play, which is fantastic for next week because we are going to need it as well, because we are going to need him for the next game. And definitely we do. But definitely a good performance to start off with the Brisbane Broncos. I was chatting with Luke, our previous guest, and I was actually saying that he was actually saying the second half is how the game overall should have actually went, which was kind of surprising. So yeah, a bit of a surprising down twist for the Bulldogs there, but honestly, expecting them to bounce back this week. Obviously, all the teams are going to always have an off week. But also, this is the first time that the Bulldogs have actually conceded more than 40 points this season. So this is, I don't know if this should be very concerning, because the fact that they've conceded 34 points within the first half, that is a massive concern for the Bulldogs. Although, maybe don't sweat on it too much. But they did lose 3 players this week due to suspension, which is huge. Which a lot of fans are tipping the Bulldogs to actually only win by a certain margin. But we'll get back to that in a moment. Moving on to the next game, we have the Sydney Roosters 46 defeating the St. George Illawarra Dragons 18. They're at Allianz Stadium. There was 41,000 people at the stadium. The Roosters secured a convincing victory in the traditional Anzac Day clash, with Sandon Smith earning the Ashton Coiler Spirit of Anzac medal. Very dominating game from the Sydney Roosters there. I definitely think there's going to be some concerns for the Illawarra Dragons. They actually have the Tigers this week, so they are looking to bounce back. However, I feel like this is a massive concern. I do see as a result that Lachlan Ilias has been dropped, so that is quite a big deal if I'm being honest with you. And quite honestly, I don't know if he deserved it. I think the Roosters were just running rampant. But I did tip the Dragons to win that one, and they didn't really show up for that game, if I'm being completely honest. I don't know what the halftime score for that was, so I'm going to quickly have a look. The halftime score was 20-6, so Roosters had a better second half than they did a first half, so that is quite interesting. They did have Sandon Smith in the 44th minute go to the sin bin for about 10 minutes, and they were able to capitalize. The Dragons were able to capitalize by one try, but in saying that, within that time frame, Blake Steep was able to score, so they lost nothing, honestly. But yeah. Then heading on over to Christchurch at Apollo Project Stadium, we have the New Zealand Warriors 26 defeat the Newcastle Knights 12. The Warriors capitalised on a Knights error to build a 16-0 lead. Luke Metcalf's intercept in the second half shifted momentum, leading to a very comfortable win. Definitely a good win for the definitely a good win for the Warriors there. I'm pretty sure that was a Luke Metcalf intercept. I'm pretty sure. Hold on. I have to check this. What was it? In the second half shifted. I don't recall that one. I wasn't able to watch that game, unfortunately, but I did see the highlights for it. What is going on? I have had these people. I don't know why. But I've had people, just a quick side tangent. We had a Fish to Showdown stream last night, and then when I finished stream, I go back on Discord and see people AI generating images of me in a Roosters jersey. What are you guys doing? Come on, man. I've actually had to issue a disclaimer about that because I'm like, dude, come on, don't be like that. So back onto the round review, we've got the Melbourne Storm 24 defeating the South Sydney Rabbitohs 16. I'm just going to say this. Honestly, Rabbitohs played a lot better than I thought they did. I thought this was going to be a demolition, but I think the Rabbitohs did show up for this game. They maintained also 20 straight against the Rabbitohs in bloody Melbourne. That's pretty huge for the Storm to actually accomplish that. Kind of like their round one wins. I think the last time, so 20 wins, that would mean, when was the last time that they actually won that? That's actually quite interesting. But yeah, no, the Storm, they maintained their winning streak. Ryan Papenhuyzen contributed significant to the victory, which was really interesting. Ryan Papenhuyzen almost got my MVP of the round, but I decided to go against it, which that leads us to the next game. The North Queensland Cowboys 50 defeat the Gold Coast Titans 18. I just also want you to know that the halftime score was 12-18 to the Titans. So Titans were winning at halftime, and then Cowboys just come along and deliver 48 unanswered points in the second half. How insane is that? That's why Cowboys actually got my MVP, my best team award this week. I didn't put Titans as the worst team because I legitimately thought this was going to happen anyway. But that is all good. 20,000 people. They delivered a dominant performance, scoring 50 points against the Titans in a high-scoring affair. Then we head on over to CommBank Stadium, where the Manly Warringah Sea Eagles defeat the Penrith Panthers 26-10. I legitimately thought that Penrith's run was about to start now. But the Sea Eagles have gone, nah, we're putting a stop to that right now. And I legitimately thought with the Sea Eagles' current form that they were going into, I legitimately thought they were going to lose this game and lose it really badly. But the Sea Eagles have just stepped up and have defeated the Penrith Panthers, which there is a lot of discussion. We're going to talk about the Penrith Panthers shortly because that is one of the topics for today. And you guys will get into that shortly. So that's interesting. 14,000 people, which is pretty good. Then we head on over to Geo Stadium at Canberra. Canberra Raiders defeat the Dolphins 40-28. Not gonna lie, I think that the injuries kind of caught up with the Dolphins on this one. Raiders outpaced the Dolphins, especially in the second half, and quite honestly, the Raiders weren't able to. The Raiders were just dominant in that second half. Injuries obviously caught up with them in the second. Caught up with the Dolphins in the second half, and the Raiders just ran rampant. The halftime score, I believe, was 10-28, and then Dolphins just don't even score a point in the second half. Definitely a good win for the Canberra Raiders, with Jamal Fogarty contributing significantly through the goal kicking, which is absolutely outstanding for Jamal Fogarty, which we will be talking about him shortly. So that will be interesting. And then finally, the West Tigers 20 at Leichhardt Oval defeat the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks 18. Adam Dewey kicked a penalty goal in Golden Point, extra time to secure the Tigers' victory in a thrilling finish. I got something to say about this game. I honestly think the Tigers actually were the better team. And quite honestly, a lot of people are saying, no, the Sharks were really good. They deserved to win and stuff. No, you do not understand how much the Tigers were scrambling to win that game. You could see the defense scrambling for the ball. They were trying to grab the ball. They were trying to tackle players out of the sideline. They were doing everything they can. And you always the motto always says, defense wins games. And the Tigers did just that. So that is honestly, if the Tigers continue to win games, that's going to be their defining win. I always say to people that look for a defining win from a team. That's when they start their finals run. I think this is their defining game. If they are able to defend like that every single game, and oh my God, I know a lot of people are going to agree with me on this, and this is definitely in the majority, and I absolutely agree. Terrell May is probably the signing of the year for the Tigers. I know Luai gets a bit of a rap, which I understand that, but Terrell May, holy crap. He is insane. He is second on the Dally M points, which I believe they actually close in a couple of rounds. So it will be interesting if the Tigers are able to maintain this kind of performance in the next few rounds, which I think not next week, the week after. They actually have the Melbourne Storm, which is going to be kind of scary. I legitimately think the Tigers can make a run to the top four. I know that's a bit of a bold statement and a bit of a bold fact, but I think the Tigers can make the top four if they are able to keep on with this. And I know, again, very ambitious statement, but I definitely think it's absolutely there. Robio2 says Terrell May did all the work for the Tigers. I disagree. He did a majority of the work. I know Galvin did a bit of work, and I know it wasn't just Galvin as well. I know I gotta look at this because I'm pretty sure there were some other players that did. Terrell May was up there. Hold on. Terrell May. No, Buller wasn't up there. Galvin, I think Galvin was also pretty good. Galvin had a nice bounce back game. And Starfatoa, I think Starfatoa was okay. No. Completely forget what I said. Yeah, Terrell May is definitely a machine. Absolutely. If Tigers do make the finals, I think Terrell May will be the prop of the year. Him and Payne Haas, I reckon. Oh, Fanua Blake could be up there as well. I think Payne Haas will be up there if the Broncos are able to maintain their stuff. Now let's get into the round review awards. You guys obviously see this every Monday morning. Best team this week, Cowboys. I had to put these guys 48 straight points, absolutely dominated against the Titans. Almost a good comeback there. If the Titans were much higher, look, honestly, if the Titans didn't get to 26 points, they're like, oh, they're going to lose. It's just that little number, you know. However, I am going to give an honorable mention to the Broncos. Putting 34 unanswered points against the first team on the ladder in one half. That is absolutely insane as well. But I think the Broncos, if they had their head in the game, they could have put 50 on them. I actually thought if the Broncos came out the same way they did in the first half, that could have been a 50 score on them. That could have been, I could have been adding the Bulldogs to that little chart that we have. This is my first time watching Galaxsi Scrum. Welcome on in. Watch the Warriors get cooked this week. I think I've tipped. I don't know if I've tipped the Warriors actually. Worst team this week. This was a really hard one, but I've gone with the Bulldogs. This is probably a really big slide from what they've been doing over the last 7 weeks. Like 6 wins in a row. They're like, yeah, we're going to go for 7. And then boom, the Broncos tell them like, nah, you sit the F down right now, which I absolutely think that is absolutely concerning. If the Bulldogs don't have their head in the game, that could happen again. And quite honestly, the Bulldogs need to really bounce back this week if they really want to keep their finals hope alive. Honorable mention, again, another honorable mention to the Titans for conceding 50. Put a line through them, as they say on Hello Sports. And then the surprise team for this week is an easy one. It's the Seagulls defeating the Penrith Panthers. I think anyone right now, if they beat the Penrith Panthers, is just a surprise team. From this point on, probably not. I definitely don't agree with that. But I think the fact that the Seagulls were able to beat Penrith after Penrith's dominant win, I think that is a very good thing. And also the fact that the Seagulls are going through this kind of stuff as well, which we have confirmation, by the way, that Daly Cherry Evans will be playing Origin this year. So we won't be diving into that this episode of the Scrum, but definitely that is outstanding. And MVP this week, there was a lot to choose from this week. And not going to lie, I almost put Terrell May. But I actually decided this week to go with Tom Dearden. And that contributed to the Cowboys' big bounce back in that second half. So honestly, Tom Dearden deserved that. Honorable mentions, Ryan Pappenhausen, Adam Reynolds, and Terrell May. I think those 3 could have definitely contributed to it. And I think Jamal Fogarty could have been up there as well because of the Raiders bounce back as well. And finally, tips correct, 3 out of 8. That's pretty poor if I'm being completely honest. We are doing very poorly with tips this year if I'm being completely honest. We're going to go ahead and go to the comments to the live chat right now. Penguin says, just because Bulldogs didn't show up that game and played crap doesn't mean they're crap unless you mean they played crap that week. Yeah, kind of agree with that. I definitely think the Bulldogs will be able to bounce back this week, especially with the team that they do have this week. I think they actually do have a chance to bounce back quite well. Bulldogs were crap after starting the season 6-0. Absolutely agree with that, Lucas. Watch the Warriors get cooked this week. We'll see what happens. I think I have tipped the Warriors to win. And yeah, that's about it. Which ones did I get right? Let me pull it up real quick because I'm pretty sure I do keep track of these. So the ones I got right were I got the Warriors fully right. That was 16. That was 13 plus. I got the Storm right, but I didn't get the margin correct, and I got the Cowboys correct. So that was really good as well. I missed. I tipped against the Broncos. I tipped against the drag. So I tipped Bulldogs, Dragons, Panthers, Dolphins, and Sharks. And unfortunately, I didn't get them. If you're curious what margins I got, I'm pretty sure Broncos. I didn't get Broncos. It was a 13 plus margin. Roosters 1 to 12. I got Dragons 1. Wait, Roosters 1. What? Wait, was it 1 to 12? Pretty sure it wasn't 1 to 12. What the hell? No. That was 13 plus. Okay, ignore that. Warriors won 1 13 plus. Cowboys won 13 plus. Seagulls won 13 plus as well. Raiders, bro, why did you tip Penrith? I thought they were back. Yeah, I tipped all the home sides except Penrith. Yeah, wow. God damn. All right. I'm biased. Very interesting. But that's going to do it for the round review. Thank you guys so much for watching that part. But let's get into the topics of this week. And I have to be honest with you guys. I think we're going to talk about, I had these out of order a little bit, but we've actually got 3 topics to talk about today. And then there's one big one I kind of want to talk about. But yeah, let's start off with this. And a lot of people, I know there's someone in the chat right now who's like very passionate about this. They're a very big, passionate Raiders fan, but Jamal Fogarty has confirmed that he is going to the Manly Ringer Sea Eagles. So, that is a pretty big deal. He's very upset that he is leaving Canberra, which is a bit unfortunate. But at the same time, he's going to Manly with a 3-year deal. That's going to replace DCE. So that is a very good signing for the Manly Ringer Sea Eagles. However, that is a big loss for the Canberra Raiders as well. Yeah, oh, wow. The person that I was just about to talk about the Raiders has now decided to leave the chat. Oh, no. But, yeah, definitely a really good signing for the Manly Ringer Sea Eagles, Jamal Fogarty. And they have now confirmed, Raiders have now confirmed that, yes, they are losing Jamal Fogarty, and they are going to look on to the market for a new half, which, if I'm being completely honest, who the heck can they go for? First of all, I want to pull up all the halfbacks that are coming out onto the I need to have a look at it and stuff like that, because I don't know exactly what halfbacks are going to do. So I don't know what halfbacks are actually going to be on the market at the moment, and Zero Tackle is deciding not to update right now. Pretty sure that is pretty crap. Yeah, I'm going to turn that off. All good. Player movement. So, the first one that comes to mind for me is Adam Reynolds. Now, Adam Reynolds' management is going to meet with the Broncos in the next couple of weeks to see what they can do to keep him around the Broncos. But apparently Adam Reynolds is rumored to go to Manly. But that definitely won't be happening now that we don't have Jamal Fogarty. So let's have a look. So Jamal Fogarty to the Manly Ringer Sea Eagles. Toby Sexton. I think Toby Sexton has actually signed an extension. He's going to look to sign an extension with the Bulldogs, so I think he's out. I think Drew Hutchinson is a option as well. You could actually get him to come on. And if you really want utility, I mean, there's Blake Taff as well. He's a fullback, but he could play half if he really wanted to. Although, that's probably not the best one to go with. So, Toby Sexton, I think, is definitely a good target. Drew Hutchinson is a target. I think Toby Sexton. So, let's go Drew Hutchinson for a target. We'll also put Adam Reynolds in there as well. I don't know if Adam Reynolds will go there. I didn't know Will Kennedy is off contract. That's interesting. Sean O'Sullivan is a topic. Sean O'Sullivan is someone that could go there. That would be a really interesting signing. Kieran Foran. Kieran Foran could be going there. That's interesting. Jake Arthur. Jake Arthur could go there, but he's not experienced. So there's three reasonable ones here. You could I think Grant Anderson. No, he's a winger, isn't? No, he's a center. T. Marie Martin, that's also an option. Although I don't know if he'd want to go to bloody Canberra. Jackson Hastings. Jackson Hastings is also someone that could go. I know Jackson Hastings is rumored to be leaving the club anyway, so that's kind of interesting. What else do we have? Cowboys. Tom Duffy, but I think he's inexperienced, so I don't think they'll go for him. Eels. No one there. Panthers. Brad Schneider could be someone they could go with. Rabbitohs. Cody Walker could go. Cody Walker, but I'm pretty sure he's like getting up in age, isn't he? He's 35. Oh, maybe not. We'll see. No one for the Raiders. Chad Townsend, if he wants to keep playing. And then Dewey could also go there as well. So we've got Adam Reynolds. Let's quickly look. We've got Adam Reynolds, which I think is definitely a good option. Adam Adam Reynolds, Drew Hutchinson. I don't think Toby Sexton will go, so we won't count him. No one there. Sean O'Sullivan is definitely an option. Kieran Foran is an option. I'm looking for experience halfback. T. Marie Martin is also an option. Jackson Hastings. Brad Schneider. Cody Walker if he wants to keep playing on. And Chad Townsend. So they got some options there. Dewey as well. You got about 9 options there. So guys, in chat right now, who do you think they are most likely to sign out of all of those guys? I think, honestly, they should make a play for either Drew Hutchinson or Chad Townsend. If Chad Townsend wants to play on, then go for him. Cody Walker is also an option as well. I think that is a viable option. He could play on, although he's kind of going through injury at the moment, so maybe not. But I think it's going to be really interesting. So I think, honestly... I think, honestly, wait, is Jaden Sullivan going to the Tigers? Oh, Jaden Sullivan's going back to the Tigers in 26. That's interesting. I didn't even know that. I thought he was staying at the Rabbitohs for the moment. That is really interesting. Okay. But yeah, you got some good options. I definitely think Chad Townsend is a chance. And I definitely think Kieran Foran could be a chance as well. So the Raiders are not lacking options. They actually have some good options there. As Lucas Hardy says, there is Drew Hutchinson and Chad Townsend. So he's kind of agreeing with me there. I think those two are kind of a good option there. And also losing Adam, losing Jamal Fogarty is going to be huge. Now, I don't know. Now, you could also go Adam Reynolds, but I have a funny feeling he's not going to leave Queensland, if I'm being completely honest. So I think it'll be interesting to see where Adam Reynolds ends up. I would if Adam Reynolds has to leave the Broncos, which hopefully he doesn't, I'd love to see him go back to Souths just for like one more stint. And I reckon they would go really far with him in the side, if I'm being completely honest. I'm also looking at the Broncos as well. Adam Reynolds is the only one off contract, so. They will be looking into his contract, so just keep an eye on Adam Reynolds right now. And yeah, I think we'll see what happens with that. But I think that will do it for that one. I actually didn't think about Jamal Fogarty going to Manly as well. I was just focused on Canberra. How can Canberra fill that hole? But Manly actually gaining Jamal Fogarty while losing Daly Cherry Evans, I think that is a good hit, like bait and switch. So I feel like that Daly Cherry Evans, though he is lost, the fact that the Seagulls have kind of recovered and they've gotten Jamal Fogarty coming in right now, I think that is huge for the Seagulls. I think they have kind of replaced their half pretty easily. However, I definitely think Jamal Fogarty and Luke Brooks are going to take a while. Now, the question is, who plays 6, who plays 7? Jamal Fogarty could play 6, while Luke Brooks plays 7. I'm not entirely sure, although when Luke Brooks played 7 at the Tigers, that did not end well. So I'm probably going to say Jamal Fogarty at 7 and Luke Brooks at 6. And I definitely think Luke Brooks is better at 6 anyway. So do we have any other comments in the some comments in the chat here. So Pancake Gamer, my moderator, actually suggests something pretty interesting. What about a rookie, as they can stay with them for a while and build up? That's also another option that they can do. But the reason I'm actually suggesting the Haas is Ricky Stewart himself has come out and said they are going to hit the market. So they have already confirmed that as well. And Lucas definitely says 6 Luke Brooks. I definitely agree with that. I think Jamal Fogarty will make a good 7 replacement for Daly Cherry Evans. And hopefully hopefully there is a good recovery for both teams. I'm going to take a bit of a water here. All right, so let's move into the next topic. And this has been actually a really big topic this week, so I'm actually quite interested to kind of tackle this, but we're only going to touch it briefly because I actually really want to get into the third topic that I kind of came up with. Sin bins. Last I checked, there were a total sin bins this week. I'm pretty sure there was a good chunk of sin bins this week. 18 sin bins within one weekend. That is absolutely insane. I mean, I know that Bulldogs game, the Bulldogs-Broncos game, that was plagued by sin bins. I'm going to go ahead and see who's actually was sin bin this week. And a good majority of them were for actually dangerous contact to the head. And I think the refs did go a bit too far with this week. So Broncos only had one, while the Bulldogs had three, all different players. In the Roosters-Dragons game, there was only one, and that was Sandon Smith on the Roosters. Warriors v Knights. Nikore was actually sin-binned in the first minute, and then Leo Thompson was sin-binned in the 4th minute. Holy crap. Storm v Rabbitohs, sin-bin. Ryan Pappenhausen was sin-binned at the 71 minute. Latrell Mitchell at the 49th minute. Cowboys, Jake Clifford, 30 minutes in. Jamal Joffe, 39. Brock Gray. Oh my goodness. Penrith have 2. Scott Sorensen, Paul Alamotti, Sua Talico. Raiders, Cody Nikorima from the Dolphins got sin-bin, and then in the Tigers Sharks game, we had Fone Pole at 64 minutes and Brenton Nikora at 48 minutes. That is absolutely insane. And obviously it's because of the crackdown with the high tackles. Andrew Abdo has now come forward and said we need to calm this down a little bit. But my question is, are we actually going to see a sin bin decrease in Magic Round? And I think, honestly, by the way, I haven't even mentioned that this is actually Magic Round that's coming up. So I want to recall a bit of a story back in I think it was 21. I'm pretty sure if we go back, I'm going to go back to 2021 Magic Round, because I'm pretty sure, yes. Oh, whoa. Oh, yes, this is definitely the round. Hold on a minute. This is definitely the round. Let me bring it all up for you right now, folks. In round 10 of 2021, there was a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, one send-off. 9 sin bins, 1 send-off. 10 sin bins. 11, 12 sin bins. No sin bins in that game, surprisingly. 12 sin bins. 13 sin bins, 2 send-offs. And then 14 sin bins and 1 send-off. The Magic Round of 2021 was probably like, at this point, there was like people sending people off before they even started the game. Like, holy crap. Yeah, but honestly, they need to come down hard. I feel like sin bins do kind of ruin the game a little bit. I remember going, yeah, that was probably the first weekend. I think there was two send-offs in one weekend, which was absolutely insane. And that was like, it plagued Magic Round. And I remember watching a short about it where someone was acting like a ref, and it's been like, Magic Round is supposed to be for the community. Instead, we made it about us. Like, mocking it. Check out Jake Kent. He's pretty funny. But obviously, there was a lot of debate around it. And honestly, a lot of people are saying, oh, we need to bring back the 5-minute sin bin. 10 minutes is way too harsh. Then obviously people are saying some of them should have been a send-off. I think it was Tupanua in the Bulldogs-Broncos game. There was a knee to the head. That should have been a send-off. I don't know why he didn't get sent off, so I'm a little bit concerned about that. I don't think, actually, now that I think about it, I don't know if there's actually been a send-off this year. So I'm going to look this up right now. I don't think there's actually been a send-off this year yet. I need to double check this. No. Sorry, whoopsie. I'm finding out right now. I'm doing a bit of Matt, rookie comment. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, we've not, yeah, it's not giving it to me, but that's okay. I just wanted to say, let's hope the sin bin drama kind of cracks down a little bit. There was way too many sin bins this round, and I definitely think we need to get it out of our system before Magic Round, because obviously Magic Round, this is if this happens in Magic Round, it's going to be an absolute spoil. There are 0 send-offs so far, says Lucas. Yes. So there's been a lot of sin bins, but no send-offs as of right now. Although that tackle that Tupanua did on Friday, that definitely should have been a send-off. So I am just saying. So yeah, I'm gonna go to the chat and see what people think about the sin bin situation. Quite interested to see what people think about it. What if Raiders grab a rookie and build him up? I already talked about that, Pancake. They've already confirmed they are going onto the market. They're already going to the market for an experienced half. I'm just saying. I mean, yeah, that's what I said before. Abdo must come down hard on the crackdown for Sinbin. Absolutely agree with that. Absolutely agree with that. Lucas Hardy, definitely agree. A few send-offs in 2021. SA got sent while he was in the Titans-Panthers game. Oh, yeah. You mean Thursday. Oh, what did you mean by that, Rugby? Did I say Friday or Wednesday? I don't know. But yeah, obviously I feel like it's going to slip down just before Origin. If it doesn't slip down in Magic Round, watch about before where Origin starts. It will definitely go down as well. They didn't do it in time when it got to Origin last year because Suali got sent off within the first 20 minutes, I believe. I don't recall that. I have to refresh my mind. That is the wrong game. Hold on. They have Origin so late. Why do they have it so late? That's not necessary. 7 minutes. No, first 10 minutes. That's insane. I do think Simbins is a waste of time, ruins the flow, and sometimes can be unfair and unjust. Yes. That's kind of, I definitely agree with that because I definitely feel like the send-offs do ruin the bit of the flow of the game. It kind of just stops. And if you actually go to an NRL game and you actually witness a sin bin, you can notice the change in velocity. Like, it's absolutely there. You can like notice the stop in play, and it's absolutely annoying. Like, give them 3 warnings like they do in Rugby League Live 4 and then send them to the bin. Absolutely agree with that. I definitely think that's a better option to do. And all that. So yeah. So any other comments on the sin bin? We're going to get into an interesting topic that I actually wanted to talk about this week. So but yeah. Rugby02 says, are you going to Magic Round? I am not, unfortunately. I've gone through a bit this year, and quite honestly, I can't afford Magic Round. I would love to go at one point, and if you guys are there I do want to go next year, and if you guys are there, I would love to meet some of you guys. So if you do see me at a game, by the way, I just want to say, if you ever see me at a game, feel free to feel free to say hi. Like, I really don't mind. I really, really, really don't mind. But if something major happens, then you can consider. Yeah. Definitely agree with that. If it's like something pretty big, then I would probably say it is not a yeah. But yeah, let's get into the third topic of tonight's Scrum episode. And quite honestly, I'm definitely going to just touch on this briefly, but I kind of want to talk about teams on the decline. Now, obviously, from year to year, there's always going to be teams that are on the decline, and there are teams that are going to be on the rise and stuff. We'll talk about some of the teams that are also on the rise as well. A few notable ones there, but yeah. So I just want to go to chat right now. Tell me what you guys like. If you guys can pick a team right now that's on the decline, what would you say? And I think I have a funny feeling I know what most of you are going to say. And yes, we are going to talk about them at some point. But while you guys are chatting, doing that on chat, I want to quickly just talk about some of the teams that are on the rise. The first one, the obvious one, is the Bulldogs. Obviously, I know they just lost against the Broncos this week. This is absolutely a huge loss for the Bulldogs. But honestly, the fact they have gone 6-0 to start off the season is quite impressive. So they are sitting on the top of the ladder, very well deserved. And I just looked at the team they have next week. I am not comfortable with it. I think they're going to bounce back, definitely. But I definitely think the Bulldogs are actually premiership contenders. I don't know what happened with the Broncos game, unfortunately. So I think It's going to be an absolute insanity to see where the Bulldogs go when it comes to finals time. Two other teams that I kind of want to group together that are actually on the rise, and it's kind of surprising, are the Raiders and the Warriors. Like, I'm pretty sure in my ladder prediction, I put these two teams like almost in the bottom four. So quite honestly, that the Warriors have actually been doing as well as they have, which is quite as well. The Warriors have actually gotten an impressive win over a couple of teams already. Most notably, they've gotten a win over the Manly Arena Seagulls, the Roosters, the Tigers is expected. Stormers is expected. Broncos they've edged out the Broncos, which is quite interesting. And then the Raiders, on the other hand, they have actually gotten interesting wins against the Broncos and the Sharks too. And they have actually put a 50 score on the Parramatta Eels as well. So that is definitely a good win. And another good win they have, I don't know if you guys are going to count this, but also the Dolphins as well. That is also another insane win. And we were saying this on the podcast last week as well. We're going back to the Bulldogs. Critter is definitely just added to that team. Some other teams that are on the rise, the Tigers. I think the Tigers are actually on a bit of a rise. If they win this week, I just also want to point out, if the Tigers win this week, they have not had a bye yet. If they win this week, they have matched their record from last year because they got 2 extra wins last year from the previous 2 years. So if they win, then they get their 3 byes. They're at 16 points, which I'm pretty sure in 2024, if we go to round 27, the Tigers had 18 points. If they get if they get one more win, which I think is very possible, they will match their record from last year. I don't think we are witnessing the wooden spoon Tigers anymore. I think the Tigers are definitely on the rise as well. Back to 2025. Another team that's actually on the rise. I want to say Dragons, but I think they're a little bit debatable there with the Dragons. But Bulldogs, Raiders, Warriors. I guess you can kind of count the Broncos, but the Broncos are expected to rise. And the Tigers. I definitely think those 5 teams. We'll actually say 4. I reckon won't count the Broncos because the Broncos are actually expected. But the Bulldogs, Warriors, Raiders, and the Tigers. Those 4 teams on the rise. There is a good chance I think all 4 of those teams will play finals this year at this point. And I think it's going to be quite interesting to see how these teams go. Hopefully the Tigers get the dub against the Dragons. I think it's very likely they will. And quite honestly, the Raiders and the Warriors, they've got some challenging opponents coming up this week. But we'll wait and see, what happens. So, yeah. But this isn't about teams that are on the rise. We're talking about teams on the decline. Now, what I see you guys in the chat mentioning one team. We're actually going to talk about them last because I think a lot of people want to hear my opinion on that, and that's absolutely fine. But the first one that I want to talk about, and you guys might be a bit interested to hear this, but one team that I definitely feel like is on the decline is the Cronulla Sharks. Now, obviously, they just had a game against the Tigers right now, but if you go ahead and look at their results, the Sharks have just had a bit of inconsistent results. For example, they faced the Bulldogs. So they lost to the Penrith Panthers. They were competitive with that one, so I'll give them that. And then they beat the Cowboys, and then they beat the Rabbitohs. But then they lost to the Bulldogs, who were actually without a couple of their spine players. So that is quite interesting that the Bulldogs were able to outrun the Sharks, and that was a Sharks home game. So that is quite interesting to see. Then they lost to the Canberra Raiders, an inexperienced side, versus a side that should have a lot more experience. So that was a bit of a shock. And then they've now gone ahead and lost to the Tigers. Now, I will say this, that when the Sharks have won, they have won kind of not that convincingly, if I'm being completely honest. The only 2 convincing wins that I've seen them actually win, 3, we'll give them 3. The 3 convincing wins are the Cowboys, the Rabbitohs, so they won 2 in a row, which was interesting. And then the Newcastle Knights, but the Knights have just been much shocking lately. So yeah, another team that I actually didn't even think about for this, and it's not in my 3 teams that are actually on the decline, is the Knights. I actually think the Knights could actually get the spoon. That's how terrible I think. I think honestly, it's quite shocking to see the Knights going the way they do, and quite honestly, I'm just like, yeah, I don't think it's very good that the Knights are going the way they are. Obviously, they just had a bit of a shocking loss against the Warriors, but the Warriors were favorites, but they were just lacking that attack and all that stuff. And Kalen Ponga is not even, I don't even think Kalen Ponga is playing that great. A lot of people are arguing against that. He's like, oh, it's a standout team. But I don't think he's playing as well as he can. But again, that I don't think it's his fault. I feel like you got to put a bunch of good players around a player for them to play good. And we'll get to one player in a moment, which you guys already know who I'm about to talk about. But the Knights have just been absolutely shocking. I feel like they're on the decline as well. Another team, unfortunately, I have to talk about this. Another team I feel like is on the decline is the Dolphins. Now, they just did get 2 impressive wins against the Storm and the Panthers, but the Panthers, I feel like out of both of those teams, the most impressive win is the Storm. But against the Panthers, I feel like we're going to get to those guys in a moment, but the Dolphins, I've obviously, like, they had a 28-10 lead last week, and they kind of just lost it. Now, obviously, injuries get the better of the Dolphins, and I feel like this is a common problem with the Dolphins right now. They need to really work on their depth a little bit. They have a good squad, don't get me wrong. When their squad is at full strength, they are almost unbeatable. But when someone gets injured, they just lose, and I feel like the Dolphins can be doing a lot more when it comes to their depth. And I feel like that's where the problem lies for the Dolphins. Now, I'm not saying the Dolphins are a terrible team. I just feel like if they can fix their depth, and obviously I think this is like the problem for a new team anyway, so take this with a grain of salt. But I feel like the Dolphins just need to work on their depth a little bit more, make sure they're working really well. Their Q Cup team, the Redcliffe Dolphins, I don't think are actually doing that great either, but I could be wrong. I'll find out. I want to find out because I want to see the Dolphins are not doing that. 1, 2, 3. 3 wins. Oh, 3 wins, 3 losses. 3 wins, 3 losses. Hold on. So hang on. 1, 2, 3 wins and 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3 losses. So 3 wins, 3 losses. And the ladder they're currently sitting at. They're currently sitting at 7th, but there's just so much more teams on the top. I think the Devils are actually their feeder club as well, so that's quite interesting. And I believe the Capras are also their feeder club. I'm pretty sure. Hold on, I'll double check that because I'm pretty sure that they're Dolphins and Capras. I thought the Norths were their feeder club. What happened there? Is that right? I'm pretty sure Norths. Hold on. Dolphins feeder clubs. I'm pretty sure the Norths are a feeder club for the Dolphins. Yeah, I don't know why the Dolphins aren't, why the Norths aren't showing up here. But yeah, they've got some. The Norths are actually doing quite all right. So I think that's quite okay. But the Capras are doing. Dolphins and Capras, and then the Devils at the top. I think they're doing pretty decent as well. And then, but yeah, if the Dolphins work on their depth a little bit more, I feel like they can actually improve themselves a little bit. And then I think they can actually start making some finals run. I feel like that's where the problem lies. I also feel like they lack an experienced half. Not saying Katoa is bad. I think Katoa is what they need. I think they just need a good 5'8". Lockie Galvin. Just saying. They could go for Lockie Galvin, which is definitely an option. But, the final team that is on the decline, and this is what everyone is talking about, the Penrith Panthers. They are last on the ladder. I legitimately thought they were not going to be last on the ladder. I thought, oh, they'll beat the Seagulls, they'll be off the bottom of the ladder. But they lost to the Seagulls, and now they're stuck on the bottom of the ladder. If Parramatta win, that's going to be very concerning. And now, also, the Penrith Panthers this week have a really challenging opponent in the Brisbane Broncos. Fingers crossed Broncos show up. Also, this is why I'm wearing this shirt tonight, because this is the Broncos grand final shirt when they took on Penrith. That's why I'm wearing this one. Wore it the other day. I'm like, you know what? I can wear this on Scrum. But this is absolutely outstanding. This is absolutely atrocious from Penrith. And I've been seeing some comments from other people, Pancake, not Pancake, a good friend of mine said that Penrith, when I went to the game against the Penrith and Dolphins, the Penrith were shocking. They were terrible. A lot of people are saying like, yeah, the Penrith Panthers are just guessing right now. They're doing a lot of inexperience and stuff. The Penrith Panthers are also $15 to make to win the competition, which is absolutely insane. Which means the Storm are now the favourites to win, which is quite interesting. Second favourites being the Bulldogs, which I think is definitely well deserved, and the third favourite being the Broncos. I definitely think that's really interesting that the Penrith Panthers are actually at the bottom of the ladder. And my theory, I know what's going on. I feel like I've mentioned this in a previous podcast. I think the problem is Cleary. I don't think Cleary is a bad player. I think he is a good player. However, he is lacking the experienced team around him that he had. James Fisher-Harris is gone. Jerome Luai is gone. Jerome Luai, I will just say, I think now Penrith Panthers fans are now realizing how good Jerome Luai was. And a lot of people were like saying in last year's grand final, Nathan Cleary had a masterclass during that grand final stuff. I thought, honestly, Cleary had one of his worst games, honestly, in that grand final. And a lot of people saying like, oh no, Cleary's like really great and stuff. Luai was on every single play, almost every single play during that grand final. I was watching that grand final and like Luai was there. He was like willing to get his hands on the ball. And Cleary, like he was like, I'm not saying Cleary wasn't playing badly. I thought all the Penrith players played good. But Nathan Cleary was probably in the bottom half of players. And I know that's a really hot take for you guys to hear, and that's absolutely fine. But like the dude was like barely on the ball as much as Luai was. And I think Luai wanted to make a statement because like it's his last game with Penrith. He's going to potentially a wooden spoon team, which obviously I don't think that's going to happen now. So yeah, he's changed that team, obviously. But Cleary, I feel like, yeah, exactly. Like Lucas said, Nathan Cleary has lost a lot of his men that was around him. The thing is that the team around Cleary was what made him the GOAT. He was able to make stuff up in time because the players that were around him were able to block them off, make sure he had the time and the space, and he was able to do what he needed to do. And like you could see that all the time. And I didn't even think about this until the other day. How often do you see Nathan Cleary get charged down? This year, I believe he's been charged down twice now. But last year, in the previous years, it was barely seen. Like you could barely see. You could barely see Nathan Cleary get charged down. Now, that being said, Nathan Cleary didn't play as much last year as he has the previous few years. But Nathan Cleary, Cleary has just been it's been really interesting to see how Cleary has. And I think all of the teams in the NRL are starting to catch on to what Penrith do. So that's why they're more prepared to come in and face Penrith. Fingers crossed Broncos show up for this game, because if they don't, they are going to have their pants pulled down. I will say that now. I think Broncos are going to win this game, but if they don't show up for this game, they are going to lose. And honestly, we had this issue with the Roosters game a few weeks back, and then potentially the Raiders game as well. The Raiders game, the Roosters game. It seems like the Broncos just get too complacent, but they can't do it for this game because Penrith will just run riot. So Broncos need to step up if they want to keep Penrith on the bottom of the ladder. This is finally going to be the year we get our grand final revenge, which I definitely think is a long time coming, if I'm being completely honest. But yeah, it's all good though. If you are a Penrith fan, I wouldn't be worried about it too much. I did say last year Penrith would lose their first 4 games consecutively. That didn't happen, but if I did it this year, I'd be like, oh, well, that's not going to happen. And then they lose 5 in a row. I'm just like, holy crap. But yeah, it's definitely going to be tough for the Penrith Panthers to come back. And now that, if they lose one more game, they're going to have to deal with Origin, and then they're going to have to deal with the finals ramp up, which if they've lost all those games at that point, I feel like the Panthers are going to really struggle to get into the 8. So yeah, that's my rant about the Penrith Panthers. Nicole says Galaxi Broncos are gonna win it. Absolutely. I have tipped the Broncos to win this week. And you'll be quite surprised at the margin too. Well, actually, I don't think you will be, because I think a lot of people are actually tipping Broncos to have a good performance. Do you think Broncos will win the grand final? I think if they need to kind of cut this complacency thing out that they have with some teams. If they cut that out, I think they can make the grand final, and I think they can win it. I think Madge Maguire has just changed that team drastically. The Panthers have just fallen off after last year. Correction, the Panthers have fallen off after the last 5 years. For real, yep, definitely agree with that. Good night, Pancake, good to see you. Ponga wants out. I didn't even know that. That's interesting. If Ponga leaves the Knights, the Knights are going to be like potentially wooden spooners for a very unforeseeable future. Just breathing right now, just breathing. I'm just being honest. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree. So yeah, so we're actually towards the end of the actual podcast itself, but before that, we are going to get into our tips and predictions for round 9, Magic Round. You guys ready for this? Where's the sound? Where's the sound? There it is. Let's get started. Oh, whoops. Let's start that again. All right, so upcoming rounds and tips. This is Magic Round. So every single game that is played in this round is at Suncorp Stadium. So let's start off with the Sharks v Eels. So Sharks are coming off a loss against the Tigers, while the Eels are just coming off a bye. Last time the Eels actually played, they welcomed back Mitch Moses, and they dominated the Tigers from that win. So honestly, I think quite honestly, this game could go either way, but I'm actually going to tip the upset here, and I'm actually going to tip the Eels 1-12. I think Mitch Moses coming back into this team just adds a lot more to this team than people realize. So I definitely feel like the Eels are going to get up for this game. And quite honestly, I think the Eels, I feel like the Eels are going to get some wins now they have Mitchell Moses. That's what they were lacking this entire time. Next game, it is doubleheader on Friday, and again, it's at Suncorp Stadium, and it's actually one of the home teams for Suncorp Stadium, but the home team in this situation is the Roosters. It's Roosters versus Dolphins. Now, this is quite an interesting game. This is the Arthur Beetson derby. If you guys don't know who Arthur Beetson is, he is an Indigenous player from back in the day, and he played for both the Roosters and the Dolphins. Now, this is really interesting because the Roosters are coming off a very strong win against the Dragons. However, you got to remember it is the Dragons. So potentially, I think honestly, the Roosters got a bit of a lucky run. But the Dolphins are coming off a bit of a shocking loss against the Canberra Raiders, 40-28. Now, the question is, will the Dolphins always seem to show up for Magic Round, so that's actually why I'm going to tip them. Now, the Roosters are actually the favorites to win this one, but I'm going to say this. The only notable out that the Dolphins have is Daniel Saifiti, and I definitely think they've got some good strike power coming in, and we did play as them in this week's Fixture Showdown, and we actually had a scoreless first half, so I think this is a very realistic result. So I'm going to go Dolphins 1-12 points. And to the people who are going ahead in my Discord and posting me in a Roosters jersey, please stop. All right, coming into the next game. This is the first Saturday game. It is the Rabbitohs v the Knights. Now, this is a really easy one to actually pick. Now, the Rabbitohs actually are losing Latrell Mitchell and Sevilla Haveli, but they're actually gaining some good players back. For example, Jai Gray moves back into the fullback position, which I definitely think is deserved. I believe Fletcher Myers is also back as well. Yes, he is. And I don't see anyone else that is notable in the Rabbitohs. Now, they do have a big out in Latrell Mitchell. I believe Latrell Mitchell has been suspended for 2 games. Obviously, I believe for a high tackle. I'm going to double check right now. And round 10, yes. So we get him back. Oh, great. That's fantastic. Wow, actually, I just realized they've got 2 good returning players in round 10, which that makes me nervous as a Broncos fan. But no, that's not my favorite team. Shut up. So I'm actually going to tip now. A lot of people are actually tipping the Knights to win this one, and they are the favorites to win. But I don't agree with that. I'm actually going to tip the Rabbitohs to get up for this one, and I'm going to say Rabbitohs 13 plus. I don't know why, but I feel like the Knights are really lacking that strike power. I could be very wrong in this, but I'm going to go ahead and tip them Rabbitohs 13 plus. Now, I actually originally tipped them 1 to 12, but as I started seeing the team list, I'm like, you know what? No, I'm going to go ahead and go 13 plus here. All right, then we move on to the next game. It is the Warriors v. the Cowboys. This is a Warriors home game. Why do they give the Warriors a home game at Suncorp? That's stupid, if I'm being completely honest. But they don't have any notable ins, the Warriors. I'm just having a look right now. Oh, Tariq Martin comes back in. He comes back in the 14 jersey. And I don't think the Cowboys have anyone notable as well. So I'm going to go ahead. I think this game could actually go either way. I definitely feel like both teams are coming off really good wins. The Warriors v the Cowboys. If Warriors seem to have a really good traction at Suncorp. So I think honestly this is a very good idea. I think quite honestly this game could go either way, but I'm going to tip the Cowboys to win this one, and I'm actually going to tip them to win 13 plus. I feel like the Cowboys made a statement during their game against the Titans, and I feel like the Cowboys just have it on the Warriors right now. And I think this will actually knock Warriors out of the top 4 spot, and the Broncos can move right in. Also, if you are a Fletch and Hindy fan, you can actually buy KO stat. You can actually buy KO and can actually listen to them commentate that game. I actually won't be able to listen to the game, unfortunately, because I will be out with some friends. But I definitely will want to watch that back because that will be really, really funny. So moving on to the next game, we have the Tigers v the Dragons. Now, Tigers are coming off as the favorites here, but there's a notable out for the Dragons. Lachlan Ilias has been dumped, and Blake Laurie, I believe, has also been dumped as well. So we've got a couple of new players actually playing right now. So I'm just double checking and seeing if there's no other new players. So that's kind of interesting to see. But I definitely think this game could also go either way. However, I really want to see the Tigers win this. So I'm going to back the Tigers, and I'm back them 1 to 12. Come on, Tigers are just, on fire right now. And quite honestly, so long as they have Terrell May, so long as they have Luai, backing my old team to get the dub on this one. And then we move to Sunday, the early afternoon game. It is the Bulldogs versus the Titans. Now, big out for the Titans is David Fafita has actually been dropped. Sorry, he has been made a example of from Des Hasler. Des Hasler is getting frustrated with the errors right now. And I have actually a funny feeling if the Titans lose this game, I think Des Hasler could be facing the axe. As much as I don't want to say, I don't like commenting on coaches' jobs at the moment, but I definitely think Des Hasler could be facing the axe right now. And Adam O'Brien could also be facing some pressure as well with the Knights as well. But the Titans, yeah, they have lost David Fafita, but Cleese Haas comes back in, and he's obviously been made a example of. Also, has, oh no, Jaden Campbell's injured anyway. Tom Weaver, that's a new face. I don't think I've seen that face before. He played last week, though. I believe he played last week, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, that is definitely that's definitely going to be a hard one for the Titans. Now, who are they facing? Oh my goodness, it is the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. That's a huge, tough, that's going to be a tough ask for the Titans. But big outs for the Bulldogs, though. So I think the Titans have a chance of winning this. You've lost Josh Curran, you've lost Tupanua, and you've lost Burton as well. So Bulldogs are kind of back to their old halves. Well, not really old halves pairing, but Bailey Hayward is an inexperienced player. So compared to Toby Sexton, which I'm pretty sure Toby Sexton is going to be playing a notable game, I believe. Oh, no. Okay. So that's quite interesting. Daniel Fafita comes in, so that's interesting. So we won't be seeing a matchup of the Fafitas, unfortunately. And Blake Taff actually comes into the bench, which I'm pretty sure he didn't play last week. So that'll be quite interesting to see how that works. And Kurt Mann, I'm pretty sure... Okay, no, he's a lock. Okay. So that will be really interesting to see how that goes. So my tip for this one, I'm going to pick the Bulldogs 13+. Titan fans, look away, because I think this could go to the 50s. And now we get into what I think is the game of the round. It is the reigning premiers, or the Wooden Spooners at the moment, the Penrith Panthers, up against my mighty Brisbane Broncos. Now, the Broncos are the heavy favourites for this one. There is a big out for the Panthers, and that is Brad Schneider. However, they do welcome back Luke Garner, I think. Luke Garner? They welcome back Luke Garner, Trent Talau. I think Trent Talau is actually a debutant, I believe. Oh, no, not a debutant. But, yeah, Penrith Panthers are welcoming back Luke Garner. And interestingly enough, they're not welcoming back Brian Toto yet. So I believe he was actually supposed to return this round, but they're not. They've decided not to play him this week. So that's quite an interesting. And then for the Broncos, Jordan Ricky returns for the number 12 spot. And what's interesting is that Xavier Willison is starting in the second row, and Jaden Hunt moves into the bench, which is quite interesting as well. I still want to see, I don't understand, but Blake Moser still hasn't made his return. Now, what was interesting last week is that Broncos made one significant change outside of the Ricky one, which is absolutely understandable, but they actually swapped Corey Pakes and Billy Walters, and then Billy Walters had the half of his life. Like, absolutely an interesting choice from Michael Maguire. But at the same time, he is pretty... I think, honestly, that was a pretty good win from the Broncos last week. Obviously, Reynolds, they were watching Reynolds. Reynolds seems good to play. Now, this is also interesting for the Broncos. I believe Ben Hunt, Billy Walters, and Corey Pakes are playing for their spots right now. Because next week is the return of Ezra Mann. So, if Billy Walters or Corey Pakes plays badly, Ben Hunt moves to hooker, and then Ezra Mann comes back into the six, which I actually strongly believe when Ezra Mann comes back, and then Walsh comes back, I strongly believe that the team is going to fire. So, I believe when Ezra Mann comes back, when Reece Walsh comes back, and their injuries are all good, I think the Broncos are going to be the most dominant team in the squad. And I know that might be a very biased position, and that's absolutely fine. But in saying that, we don't have Walsh, we don't have Mann just yet, but they are lurking in the back. And that means, and guys, yes, that does mean I am backing the Broncos to win this one 13+. Oh, closed the wrong tab there. And the final game of Magic Round, Storm v Raiders. Oh boy, this is a big ask for the Raiders, if I'm being honest. Now, this is a very interesting matchup. I definitely also think this could be the match of the round as well, Storm v Raiders. I'm interested to see how this game is going to go. Ryan Papenau, like, the team is almost at full strength right now, the Melbourne Storm. And I'm quite interested to see how they respond. Well, I want to see how they kind of go for last week. And now that Jamal Fogarty has confirmed he is going to Manly, I want to see how they fire after that. So I feel like the Raiders are going to be playing for their lives. While the Storm, they're going to be wanting to play for that top spot, because if the Bulldogs lose this week, there is a good chance Storm could take the top spot. I don't think that's very likely, but they want to try and keep that momentum going. And so yeah, that's it. So the question is, who do I take, Storm or Raiders? Now you might be thinking, oh, this is an easy one, but I'm actually going to back the Raiders to win this one. And I know that might be a bit, what the hell are you on? but I've got a funny feeling the Raiders are going to fire for this game. I don't know why, but I've got a funny feeling the Raiders are going to fire. And if they do win this game, this will be a defining game for them. And I definitely think they will be in the finals this year. So that's going to do it for the Galaxy Scrum tonight, guys. I seriously appreciate you all coming out for what is an amazing discussion. I will say this, we are going to be live next week. We actually have a guest for next week as well. So I'm really excited to announce who it is. I'll announce it next week. But I am really, I did do Warriors and Cowboys. I tipped Cowboys 13 plus. I did do that. I did do that game, I'm pretty sure. I originally, yeah, I did move to that one because I was like kind of talking about it for a little bit. But yeah, but guys, that's going to do it for the Scrum. Thank you so much for watching. I seriously appreciate you all, as always. And guys, if you haven't already, make sure you check us out on Spotify. This episode will be coming out on Spotify very shortly. So make sure you check out Spotify and listen to us on the car, on the way home, on the way to work, whatever you want to do. And also, if you guys aren't subscribed to the YouTube channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button. So guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode of the Galaxy Scrum. Matt out.